Grand Rising King.
Oh, that's new. How come? Yeah, I don't hear you. I was about to say, is that me? Yeah. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Black Liberation Media, the Remix Morning Show. Geechee, Amber, and Jared. I got a big show this morning. Let folks know to join you. Put this in your socials. Chris Smalls is going to join us in about an hour to talk about, update us on what's been going on with him. And so, yeah, definitely, you know. But how you all doing? Or how are you doing, Amber?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for asking, Jay, because you didn't ask me before the show, but it's cool. You're slacking. I was joking about the Grand Rising King, but apparently Brother Jamil really liked it.
Bro Jamil in the chat.
Y'all are so funny. They said you look like a whole new person with no glasses, Jared.
Yeah, I'm about to put them on. I had to. I'm caught in mid preparation, but
are you putting on lotion and sunscreen?
Putting on lotion? No, not the sunscreen.
Where's the sunscreen?
I do not. I get in trouble a lot around here for that, for not putting on sunscreen.
Your poor faces.
I mean, but my thing is, I have oily skin, so I have like a really youthful, wrinkle-free.
You could put on some black girl sunscreen. It'll help. You can put on sunscreen.
I literally have been gifted a bottle of that.
It works. I put some on this morning. See how great.
But it works to do what though? I mean, how could I literally can't look any better.
It protects you from the sun's dangerous rays.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy because I'm definitely going to put on my glasses later. I got to take my contacts out because I've been wearing them too long. And I know everybody's going to be so shocked when I put them on because I never wear my glasses that much. And I'd be like, it's not that big of a deal.
My mic's on. My mic back?
There you go.
Unfortunately. I'm kidding.
I know you're not. It's all good though.
I am kidding.
Look, bring it. I can't push any buttons today. My connection is a mess again.
Boom.
Bring Lorik up here. Stop acting like I know you show up all late to get a special entrance. It's not. We're not falling for that.
Oh, that's what I did.
We're not falling for that.
Pro pick all stylish and stuff. I know what time it is, bro.
What's up, y'all? Morning.
We see what you're doing. You're trying to one up us. I don't know if I appreciate it.
What I missed? So it's been 3 minutes. You're right. I'm a little late. My bad, y'all.
We haven't talked about anything just yet. Jared just asked me how I was, and I just told him that I was fine. So you do wear your fro more than you let on, then?
Nah, it's funny. I got an appointment like right after this. So
why are your hair appointments always on the show day? So you don't want us to see your hair done?
I got
fresh for the weekend.
Exactly. Thank you.
What you doing this weekend that you gotta be fresh for?
You know me, baby. No. It's just when it works. Me and my stylist have a great relationship. She puts me on all the shows I don't watch, so I just go in there, and if it's a mess, she I've been to the Tyler Perry catalog recently. It's been a journey. I just trust her to guide me through. It's a good time. How y'all been?
Man.
Cool.
That's a lot.
August going. That's how we've been checking in at BNB. What's this Black August been like for everyone this time around? How's the studying, fasting, training, fighting been?
Yeah, Jerry, how's your studying, fasting, training, and fighting been?
So frankly, I don't make many adjustments. I feel
Mhm.
like I'm moderately consistent throughout my life and throughout the year. So uh I don't do any particular fasting, though I do intermittently fast throughout the year. I don't do any particular training, though in my mind I'm training constantly. And I study pretty consistently. So whatever level that is, it's not
You
sufficient,
study a lot.
but it's pretty it's just constant. So I admit I don't make that many. I don't notice, like for me, you know, it's like Black August is 12 months a year.
Mm.
That said, that is because again, I approach it at an insufficient. I'm acknowledging it's a consistently insufficient level that I'm consistent at.
You one of
So
them Valentine's Day every day type of niggas. I don't have to celebrate it once a year.
I
I love
reject being told by the white man when I should appreciate my loved one. So she gets appreciation and gifts regularly and sometimes out of nowhere. That's
the women crazy.
you know, I don't need to be told on this day bring this to this person.
Mhm.
And in general, I did have a sip of Uncle Nearest the other day for performative reasons to talk about Fawn Weaver. But in general, even again, to my point, in general, I've really been fading out the drinking, slowing it, you know, and often, you know, throughout my adult life, pretty much since the Navy, I take intermittent long periods of time without drinking anything.
You just becoming a whole new man overnight.
Not overnight. This has been a very slow process, and my wife of 20 plus years will tell you it's been a very slow process. But I'm a constant work in progress, and so I did, you know, I did confront head on about 25 years ago all of my major flaws, and I've been trying to address them ever since. And for you know,
Jared, Geechee, I know y'all are both vegan. I always forget, when did that start for you, Jared, and then Geechee, you as well?
Who is vegan?
Jared and Geechee.
I know Jared was a vegan too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I went vegan. It was about 2016, and it was specifically. I mean, we made like I've been like I haven't had pork since 1996. I haven't had red meat since I don't know 1990 something, 2000 maybe, and then so I was only eating, you know, chicken and fish up until about 2017, and then we watched that documentary What the Health, and I admit that was the one that pushed me over the edge, and I was
That's
like,
crazy
oh
to
no,
just push you over the edge.
yeah, that's what did it, you know. So
Yeah.
what about you, Geechee?
So I'm about 41 now. So I stopped eating meat at 28 or 29. But before that, for 2 weeks, I'm like 2 years, I was pescatarian, only eating fish and stuff. But from there, yeah, I just transferred or transitioned, and then haven't eat any type of meat products for that long.
So I had to plan a conference, and two of the people, I think three of the people were pescatarians, and I was like, "Ooh, I feel like when you're over two, then the whole meal has to be pescatarian because I'm not finna like only do pescatarian options for like three people." And that was so hard. I said, "Damn, what can they eat?" Because a lot of these places, when they offer catering, they don't offer a fish option. If it's like a more commercial place, like I was like calling Nukes, and I called a few small businesses, and they have like non-pork options, but they don't have fish options unless it's a fish place. And I was like, ugh, it's so much. But then I found a place, but it was like a lot at first.
Salute to the real vegans, though. I don't know how people did it back in the day. Like it's easy now, I think, for the most part. Especially if you have some resources, it's pretty easy. I don't know how people were doing it 30 years ago when you vegan options were not so readily available. But
Off the trend, Amber, wouldn't a vegetarian option work for them though? Like, couldn't pescatarians just eat the vegetarian option?
Yeah, but I think that my assumption is that people who are pescatarian and not vegetarian do want some type of meat. So
Okay, that's fair.
Nah.
But
I mean, don't shake your head, Geisha. You don't know.
I mean, I'm just saying, nah, that's not true. Because
I mean,
not even all meat eaters always want meat. So
well, yeah, that's
it's
true
just,
because I don't even eat meat every day. But
Mm.
the people who are coming to, I know the people, so I know that they eat meat. They like fish and stuff. Like specifically, like a lot of salmon or like tilapia. So I just got salmon sliders for everybody. But
it sounds good though.
yeah, it'll be fine.
salmon slider sounds interesting.
But I hope the don't know extra people show up because I definitely only bought enough food for the people who registered, and you know how niggas will be texting their friends during the conference. Yeah, girl, I'm over here, and then they'll pull up, and I'll be like, that's so crazy. I don't have food for you.
That
I
show
didn't
us
buy any extra. I
event
want.
tickets.
What'd you say?
I said you got to show those event tickets before you get that meal.
Not
Yeah.
event tickets. I just wrote down everybody's name. So
Oh, that too. That'll work.
if you're trying to get in, I don't know what to tell you. And it's not even like an event, but I just feel like people will just like pull up at places. Like that happens. I see that a lot here, specifically in Memphis. I don't know if it happens to people in Atlanta or up there in Maryland, Jerry, but like we'll be hosting an event and people who are in that friend circle will just show up, even though they didn't register. I didn't get enough food for y'all, and they just come. And I'll be like, that's so crazy.
You're a community organizer. Go ahead, Jared. Sorry.
No, that was it. I was just gonna, that sounds consistent. People show up and they say, I don't expect to have had to register. I expect to be taken care of. I'm basically a VIP in these streets.
Which is crazy because only I can do that. They can't do that to me.
And everybody thinks like that. And there we are. There it is.
You know what's so the craziest thing happened to me this week, and I haven't been able to talk about it because we don't have our show till Fridays. But you know the whole Nicole Collier shit when she was like trapped in the state house or whatever.
Oh, the representative, yeah.
Yeah, I broke that story like a real reporter. It's so crazy. But someone who's a staffer was texting me in Texas, and I was like, "Ooh, I can't make a video right now because I was like doing some work stuff." So I was texting my friend Elizabeth and telling her all the tea and was like, "Hey, make this video for me." So she made the video about the lady, and it like went viral, whatever. It was like a whole big thing. And then people was coming back to me like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that happened." I was like, "Yeah, but she also shouldn't took her ass back." I felt it was a conundrum for me. Like, one, I don't ever want a black woman to be, held hostage by the state. But also, why the fuck did you go back? But I couldn't say that, so I was saving that to say it here.
Can you give me a little more context? Because I'm not familiar with the story. So somebody was held hostage.
Yeah, so the Texas Democrats left the state 2 weeks ago to break quorum so they couldn't vote for the redistricting maps. And then some of them went back because one of the like caucus leaders was like, "Well, we're going to go back." But he didn't go back. He was like, "We're telling everybody we're going to go back." And he didn't go back. And then he puts out this little letter saying that he's not coming back. He's not at home, all this stuff, so he can fake this like arrest thing because he wants to switch the narrative because everybody was on his ass about pushing them to go back when they didn't want to go. His name is Busey. He's this tall white guy named Busey. So then she goes back, but they tell all of them when they got there in the House chambers that to leave, they have to sign a slip that they will go into DPS custody, which is Department of Public Safety, police custody, and have an escort with them at all times to leave. And all them motherfuckers signed it like psychopaths. Except for her. She didn't sign it.
Representative. Tall white man named UC from Texas sounds like a villain. I get you.
I think she's a villain.
And her name is what now? I'm sorry.
Her name is Nicole Collier. She's a black lady. Cool. She represents House District 95. But one of her staffers was texting me, and I was like, "Well, shit, I don't know what you want me to do. I live in Tennessee, girl." But I called some of my friends and was like, "Hey, can y'all make a video about this and like just collab with other people that we know in Texas to like, let people know what's happening?" So that's what I did. And, I felt like a behind the scenes producer. It was so cool. It did lead to other things that I do not necessarily like, but other than that, it was cool.
What's the video? You're gonna give us the link? We're gonna
Oh,
See
y'all
the
want to see the
video?
video? Oh,
Want to see your production?
yeah, I got you. I'll send it to you. But what other thing was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So then people started following me on Instagram, and I was like, whoa, I don't think that's the right thing to do, cause I'll be on here cutting up. So then I made a story, and I was like, hey, before you follow me, please know I am not an establishment damn nigga. I don't agree with any of these things. It's very much free Palestine, Sudan, and the Congo. I cuss a lot, and I post a lot of TikTok dances. I don't think that I'm the serious news source you want to follow. But if you do, that's your option. But I just be trying to warn people ahead of time. I believe in using social media for funsies. Like, you can do it for serious stuff too, but also I like to use it for fun stuff. Let me find a video. Hold on. Go ahead, say something, Geechee.
Something Geechee. Nah. So I know we have Chris coming up in the directly, as we say in Gullah. But I know, Lorik, you wanted us to get into some stuff too, so we can kind of prep that maybe while Amber get her production ready. Oh, and Lorik runs.
He's like, nope,
not me.
not me. But we are gonna. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say we are intending to revisit the updated history of New African prison struggle by Sundiata Acoli, to talk a little bit more about that work and the rise of that struggle, and obviously in the context of Black August.
Jared, if I put the video link in our group chat, can you pull it up on your computer, or are you still having issues?
Geechee would have to do it today because I don't.
Yeah, or you, since you can't put it in the chat, I can send it to my
And
you can send it to my email. Send it to my email.
Okay, I'll email it to you.
And
also, I just want y'all to know Geechee has such a professional email.
What? Professional.
It's very professional.
Okay. Oh, you talking about my email thread?
Yeah, you got like a very professional signature and stuff. Like, all I got is Love, Light, and Liberation. That's it. My name. Nothing professional like that.
Are we waiting for the video?
Yeah, I just sent it to Geechee. In the meantime, I just want to say, I saw this video on TikTok that I think is actually important to bring up. This girl was talking about how she doesn't date people who have gone to a wedding in the last 3 to 4 months because she noticed that people who are like men who are in friend groups, when their friends start getting married, then they decide that they should start getting married. Not that they actually want to get married. And then when they've attended weddings recently, that all of a sudden they like start changing their minds about relationships, and she doesn't necessarily trust it. And I just wanted to ask y'all what y'all thought about that, because I do think that I have noticed in friend groups of like 4 to 5 men, when 1 or 2 of them get in serious relationships, the other ones start to like become more serious too. Specifically, I noticed this with one of the people that I'm dating, because his brother was like dating 2 people or something, doing some weird shit. He a Kappa, Kappas are weird. And he got one of them pregnant. She got another one pregnant, and then one of them didn't have the baby. Then he got in a relationship with that girl, but that has nothing to do with the story. But I thought it was just juicy. He gets in a relationship with that girl, and then all of a sudden, this guy is like really trying to take dating serious, and I'm just like, I think it's weird. I think it's because your brother is like locking in too, and he's like, yeah, we can go on a double date with my brother, and I was like, I think it's a direct correlation. What do you guys think?
DG, go ahead.
I mean, I guess there's an influence, but it seems like it sounds like it would be good, but at some point when you said dating seriously, at some point I do think people decide that they are invested in the self-development of having a particular type of relationship. I think serious relationships puts you in a self-development trajectory that you probably can't get into playing, or as you whatever you say. So maybe they won't get right. I don't
know. Your thoughts?
I don't know. I haven't seen anything like that. But then again, I've never had like a sustained clique that operated in that way.
You're not the group leader?
Oh boy.
No.
I also only date group leaders.
No, I don't no. And um but I think that, I don't know what the full context is, but on its own, I would think that that's not a very good reason to make a dating choice. I mean, it depends. Like, are you saying like we agree politically, we're attracted to each other, we have the same ambitions, goals, spiritual beliefs, whatever. But then you find out they went to a wedding in the last 3 or 4 months. And you're like, nope, 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 nope. Like that doesn't make much sense. And then what if you're invited to a wedding by, a family member? Like, I mean, so it's like, so this would be specific only to your friend group marrying, I'm assuming, right? So like, you can't, like, if my uncle remarries and I go to his wedding, does that disqualify me all of a sudden if I was otherwise a good candidate? Like that kind of thing. I
mean,
my thing though, what I do say, and we've really been talking about this with our daughters who are now growing and entering the world, that there really is, my 2 cents is, there is no formula. There is no do this, and you will find your this. We just try to, you got to have a certain set of standards, principles, goals for what your partner should aspire to be, and should meet, and then go from there. And then I think I will stop here, that I think, my mother's advice was always pretty good on this. Do what you love and your partner will show up. Like, pursue your life, pursue your interests, and whoever is in, that's how you best find, So that's my 2 cents. What do I know? I mean, like I just said, it's been taking me 20 plus years for my wife to get me finally a little bit like he's,
I think I would have been less confused if they were talking about baby fever, but marriage fever or something like marriage fever is interesting to hear.
Somebody in the chat said friend groups usually mature together, so it makes sense, and I agree with that too.
Yeah. I think we can square this one off. I'm gonna give us 3 minutes. I'm gonna stop the relationship topic. 8:25 today, yo. You'll get into it. My take is, I always wonder, like with dating questions, what the core of it is. Because if we just focus on the surface, like what Jared said, there's a million exceptions. But I hear you, Amber. I agree. I just don't think it's gender specific. I had this take at the season finale or the series finale, Insecure. Spoilers, but like, they go to weddings together. They start getting married together. Homegirl's best friend gets pregnant. She gets pregnant like within a year, because you start thinking about raising your kids together and all of that. I think that just happens. A lot of people like to think we're less social creatures than we are, but we're getting influenced. We might have a reflection at a wedding that we do want something that we thought we didn't want, or something like that. So it's cool. But I do say you should be cautious of that sort of thing. Like, if somebody just wants something because they think they know what somebody else has, because I think that happens a lot with these situations too. It's like, oh yeah, that wedding was beautiful and all that. Man, that's $30,000 down the hole. They've been planning that for 2 years. You didn't see the fight that happened with the bride's mom before you know what I mean? Like,
that has been the closest thing in my world to a formula. The more expensive the wedding, the shorter the marriage. So that's been.
I don't have a solid opinion about it. I can see what she was saying, and I can also see like what Laura is saying. I do think that it actually happens in all friend groups. I think that, like, whether it's guy friend groups or girlfriend groups, like some of my friends right now in our friend group also don't take dating seriously like I don't, and I think I have influence on that too. Like, the way I be like dating with some people, and now all of a sudden they're all doing it over like the last year. So I think that people are influenced on both sides, but I do kind of get why she would say that. If she isn't ready, the girl in the video, like, if she isn't ready to be married, she doesn't want to date someone who has recently gone to a wedding, because they most likely will like push like getting more serious and like getting married in like a year. And she's dated a few people who were like that, so she was like, I just think it makes the most sense, like for her. I can see what she's saying. I also feel like definitely what Lark is saying. Like, I definitely have people who have gotten pregnant because their friends have been pregnant recently, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I want our kids to like grow up together." And I'd be like,
kids. I do want to shout out, before the 3 minutes are up, my trifecta, my personal trifecta. I surprised my wife with a proposal literally on the base of the Great Pyramid Reagan died during my wedding, and the service was performed by Reverend Earl Neal, who performed the funeral services for George Jackson. So as a segue to Black August, perhaps. So like I like my little setup.
That's a crazy flex.
Trifecta.
I don't think we can hit all three. There was some divine intervention with the Reagan one.
Hey.
Yeah, can't. Sorry.
All right. I think our 3 minutes are up.
3 minutes for what? What is this about?
Elon in particular made a specific request to save her little heart. I think as she put it, we need to move on.
I don't give a damn.
Nah, I'm moved. Elon makes compelling arguments all the time.
I'm kidding. I actually didn't have a lot to say, but also,
and we got that.
I just thought it was an interesting question.
And we do have a guest. Yeah.
Yep, so I'm only here for a limited time. Excited for who we got coming up next. So
one time, not a long time.
Exactly.
Okay, Lark, you go ahead and pull up the stuff and like set the room. I'm gonna run to get my green smoothie that just got delivered.
Got you.
Delivering smoothies. Wow.
Must be nice.
Must be nice.
It's my lack of preparation. I ran out of protein shakes and I didn't buy anymore. So it's actually a punishment.
Oh, wow.
Let me pull up document. Get you. I'm dropping it in the chat.
I think I probably got it up.
Okay.
I have. There's no photo of the proposal itself, but there is a photo of the shortly thereafter. So, and I have showed it, I think. So yeah, I may have anyway. Geechee, can you pull up the link that Laura put in there? And again, I apologize. By the way, I've written to StreamYard. I don't know what it is. I don't have this issue with any other platform or any other setup. And I don't know why all of a sudden I can't work with StreamYard. But
and we're starting here, right? Black Power.
Yep. We're picking up. For those who aren't familiar, we've been reading Ancestor Sundiata Acoli's An Updated History of the New African Prison Struggle.
Is he an ancestor? He did.
Wait.
I think he's still here.
Oh,
he got out.
Oh my goodness, Elder, my mistake, yo. Wow.
I just want to make sure. I think Sundiata Acoli is still here. Yeah, he's still here. And thankfully, because he's one of the few to get out and not like almost immediately pass away. You know, so like I'm glad he's getting at least a little bit of time, and I hope it's relatively in good health. Yeah, he's like 86. Chitty Macha is guessing, I think, something like that. But anyway, but
he's 88. Yeah,
88. Okay.
Yeah, very important. I'm sorry, y'all.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Elder Sundiata Acoli, who is still around, who was released in past. Well, a few of them actually, but I think there was someone I was reading about recently.
I mean, because Maroon didn't last long after he was let out. And, even Marilyn Buck, going back to her release, didn't last as long. I think, David Gilbert is still here. I think Sundiata is still here. And I'm forgetting the list of more recent. And of course, who?
Matula. Oh, the
Matulu Shakur, but he didn't get to stick around long. Neither did oh my goodness, my man who was in the Marin County courthouse. Why am I just going blank on that? That Jonathan freed, Rochelle McGee, and then 80 days. Musa said died 80 days after. So and then. I just lost another. Leonard Peltier is out and seemingly in relatively good health. Yeah, relatively. He seems to have a lot of energy, and I like the fire that I see in his interviews. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, but so Sundiata is still here. We're glad for it, and equally importantly, I think as Lorik is leading us here, we're still dealing with his ideas and the work, like beyond just name checking. So this is great.
Absolutely. Thank you for that clarity. So we are moving from Black Power through the Black Liberation era. This document by Elder Sundiata Acoli has been pushing us through each era, and how the prison struggle inside the walls is connected to the struggle of new Africans outside the walls. So
Lord, can I interrupt? I'm sorry. My apologies. Because there was some breaking news that we were also asked to talk about too, regarding the update of the this update of political prisoners. And where did I just send it to you all? Because Mumia Abu Jamal, like, they're trying to put the word out. Please check in with Prison Radio and the Jericho movement. Mumia is now legally blind due to a lack of where did I okay, here we go. The statement is that there's an urgent medical alert to the public from Mumia Abu Jamal as of August 21st, 2025, yesterday, which is the anniversary of the assassination of George Jackson, of course. Mumia's eyesight is deteriorating at an alarming rate. An independent ophthalmological expert has confirmed the regression of his eye disease by analyzing Mumia's most recent eye exams. She reports that he needs surgery and medically necessary treatment immediately, or faces possibility of permanent blindness. Mumia's vision has plummeted from 20/30 with glasses in 2024, which is near normal, to 2200 today, which is legally blind, because the DOC has failed to adequately monitor his vision and delayed his urgently necessary medical treatment and surgery. The Pennsylvania DOC has known since at least March of 2025 that Mumia needed eye surgery. Eye exams from 2024-2025 showed a sharp deterioration, demanding immediate intervention. Yet they waited until July to act and set surgery for an unidentified date in September. Mumia believes he now suffers from retinal diabetes, stemming from a diabetic coma, a condition rooted in the diabetic coma he endured in 2015 after being given improper steroids for a skin disease. In his words, Mumia asserts that the DOC is, quote, slow walking him to blindness, end quote, in 2025. Another egregious case of the prison's medical neglect, medical harm, and inability to treat Mumia's medical needs. Court records already document this pattern: negligence, the monitoring labs, which led to the diabetic coma, and the deliberate denial and delay of his hepatitis C treatment, which left him with this with cirrhosis. The demands are that he be released, schedule his eye surgery, and provide Dr. Ricardo Alvarez, Mumia's chosen physician, with all medical reports. So please check prisonradio.org for more, and support however you can. All right. Thank you.
And this ailment to the eye was, I don't know, was it going on since like 2019?
He says it's 2015 when he was in a diabetic coma, and from that bad medication that they gave him. And they've just slow walked, as he said, the treatment, and have allowed him to deteriorate. So yeah, the link is in the chat, but prisonradio.org for more, and probably also check the National Jericho Movement website too.
Since we talked about random things,
wait, what?
I also thought of another one-liner that I wanted to mention earlier, but I forgot.
Wait.
That's talking about random things.
That ain't gonna work.
I mean, since we're talking about interjections into what we're already discussing about the reading.
No, that's not.
This is reading related.
Oh.
No,
this is reading related?
I'm just fucking with you. Pull the thingy back up.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, that was a little rough.
Why did Jared leave?
Probably because you
Jared wanted us back on track. We back on track.
That was
probably
rough.
because what? Geechee, what were we gonna say?
That was just rough. That was a little rough.
It wasn't.
Yeah, that was.
I love you, but that was a little rough. Were we back? It happens. All right. Geechee got highlights and notes and whatnot. Geechee did the reading. Okay.
Hey, listen. I'll be doing my thing. So listen, we're gonna start reading, passing the back, or how we gonna do it?
I think it'll be
about general things.
yeah. Maybe reading like major quotes or pieces that you pulled out, especially since you highlighted it for us. I'm okay working through that. That looks great.
Okay, perfect. So going here. So maybe just I guess the first couple sentences we can read and then talk it through. I don't know if y'all got also highlights or thoughts that came out, but yeah, Black Power era. I'm sorry, Black Power through the Black Liberation era. And it starts as the civil rights movement advanced in the 60s. New African college students waded into the struggle with innovative lunch counter sit-ins, freedom rides, and voter registration projects. On April 15th, 1960, a student conference was called under the auspice of Miss Ella Baker, a field worker for the SCLC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and was formed during this period to coordinate, instruct student volunteers in nonviolent methods of organizing voter registration projects and other civil rights work. So really quickly, I think, and I don't know if this is because I saw this part about folks being disenchanted with the nonviolent philosophy, and I know that's kind of keep regurgitating in terms of philosophy versus tactic. But then I also saw this this calling it innovative, this type of work, and it's all tactical work. So yeah, I'm just curious, like, and I know we're talking about something else, but oftentimes I'm also hearing how people are not grappling with that Martin Luther King's nonviolent tactics wasn't so much philosophy or ideology, but it was more of a strategy or tactic to engage in a particular way for a particular outcome. So I don't know if that is a thought as people kind of hear that often.
Yeah, it comes up for me. I appreciate it. Yes, pointing out like the tactics and then also pointing out what the org existed to do. I think a lot of times, like we have an idealist view of the orgs, like they just were for Black struggle more generally. But knowing what they specifically came into being to do, organizing voter registration projects is key. And then, as you said, knowing that the tactics were innovative at the time and not so innovative now when the system has learned and adapted and responded is important, because there are people who will go back, they'll read this, they'll start organizing freedom rides now, they'll do voter registration now and not recognize that those strategies are no longer innovative. So I think that's important.
I wonder if you think about because I hear that in terms of some of these strategies, those things are not I guess necessary, but if there's a objective to highlight contradictions, and you might have to, again, how Lenin talked about like legal and illegal activities, meaning things outside of the status quo. Like, I wonder if there is sometimes still, like when you think about tactical, again, this maybe non-reformist reform argument, there's still certain strategies that don't look so, I guess, revolutionary as people think, but there might be a particular reason to do it, because most people in the US are not, I guess, in left organizations or less left type conversations, and they still have some type of belief or legitimacy of US project, and particularly thinking about like this 20 versus 1 Black conservatives, and then majority of the people think that Amanda Seals is the most radical thing on the planet. So I'm like, there might be still some,
and I don't understand that. I don't get the draw. Is it because she be yelling?
Well, it's not just her. I think it's just the format in general has a decently long media history at this point. I think people are even used to it from like watching CNN and MSNBC, this like kind of back and forth, argue your point of view, but really you're just platforming, yourself and your network.
Like grandstanding.
Yeah. But I think like Crossfire used to be it. I used to watch Mark Lamont Hill debate Bill O'Reilly and shit. Like I think we've been kind of,
I don't watch any of those, so I don't know what you're talking about.
That's part of it. But I do think
I don't have cable and I don't have a TV, so I literally only watch the stuff that I look forward to watch.
it's a new era. We used to have to watch TV. It was just the only, thing.
And that era of the talk shows didn't help either. And forgive me for this, but what was that picture of Kadeem Hardison and Sally Jesse Raphael talking about this is my wife? That's just speaking of the talk show era. But I think that helped, and even going back to my youth, like Morton Downey Jr. and his show, there's a long track record of platforming hostility for the sake of it, for views and whatnot,
I only feel like I think my apprehension to like the Amanda Seales hype. By the way, she followed me on Instagram the other day, which is also very random. I was like, girl, I'll be talking shit. But my apprehension is that like she really only has this fandom out of people disliking her or disliking her takes. Like I don't feel like she has a fandom of people, not a large one, of people who really, really like are into the things that she's talking about. A lot of people are following her in spite of other people or in spite of other things to be like, well, I'm gonna stand with Amanda. And I was like,
well, folks can hate watch me on her live on September 24th if that's what's going on. So,
I'll watch it if she's gonna be on there. I mean, I don't have it. I would say I don't have any beef or anything against Amanda Seales. I feel like she has made some bad like stances on some stuff, like around Tamir Rice's mom and other stuff. I feel like she's definitely said things that were wrong, and a lot of times the things that she said that have like hurt a black woman or like caused harm towards them, it was a dark skinned black woman. And so I just feel like there's like also some colorism at play there for her and like a racially ambiguous person at times who can like she could pass for white if she in certain places.
She would not feel good about hearing that.
I don't. So I'm gonna agree with you on the first part. Shout out to Samaria Rice, who's been on the platform a few times. If you haven't seen it, go take a look. I don't think Amanda Seales passes as white. She's black. She just lights skin.
She said that, not me.
Who said that?
She had said that, not me.
Oh, damn! If she said that, then
about her. She said that, and she was like, because she was defending her blackness. Like, no, my parents are black. Like she was talking to someone, talking about a thing that had happened. So I'm not saying.
Well, again, I don't want to derail. I think I only just mentioned her because the sentiments of. Because again, I know this is an individual person, but whenever you see how people respond to this new viral moment, one would call into question is this at like the general person? Is this how read or knowledgeable these people are? So is that as left as the general people are? Because again, a lot of people find like, oh, like and we watched it and reviewed it. It was kind of like, she looked like she has been reading some stuff and has been growing, but there's still like a lot of liberal tendencies in there. So that was just really.
I didn't watch it because I don't like platforming the Jubilee people, but I did see people talking about it and like their critiques. And I was like, that's interesting. I just don't see a point in watching stuff like that. Like, it really does nothing for me. Also, I have a very strong apprehension to yelling. So the moment people start like yelling, I actually just tune out. That's why also it's a nigga I was friends with that I won't be friends with ever again because he yelled at me. Like, it literally don't take much. If you yell at me or you're doing a lot of yelling, I have tuned out. I'm good.
Well, we did have a great discussion and fun. I had a blast talking about it with Renee and Geechee on Patreon. So please check out Black Liberation Media Patreon if you're interested in an hour fun time response to that debacle of a show.
It was not a live show.
It was a Patreon special.
It was a Patreon special because we wanted to make sure that the copyright issue. I felt like if the thought was if we streamed it live, they would be more likely to run into more problems. So we just pre-recorded it.
The Amanda Seales thing.
Yeah.
It's on the Patreon. Highly recommend.
Jubilee and them are.
Let me go subscribe to the Patreon so y'all can.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So I want to apologize for derailing us, but I just really wanted to say like this, the sentiments was around.
Geechee's fault.
Yeah, it's my fault.
Mhm.
But still around this idea, like young new Africans in general began to grow increasingly disenchanted with the nonviolent philosophy of Martin Luther King, many beginning to look increasingly towards Malcolm X, the fiery young minister of NOI. So really quickly, like I feel like this conversation around militant, violent, nonviolent, or whatever, we're still kind of having that conversation and still trying to distinguish Malcolm from Martin, but there are also times that Malcolm exclusively also took the, I guess, the self-defense or defend yourself, but a lot of the interactions he talked about meaning not initiating violence. So I think we still have like this interesting conflict with understanding the two. And then I think there was this quote that either Malcolm or one of Malcolm's supporter who was in line with him, says, "I am completely nonviolent, but I want to thank our brothers from the Deacons of Defense who are both standing guard and yes, getting a standing ovation from organizers whose arms allow me to be nonviolent." So it's, I don't know. I just think sometimes we misunderstand.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite things about Du Bois is that he said during the so-called Atlanta race riot that he sat on his porch with his shotgun and said the first white man that shows up is getting it. And I've always thought that that is an underappreciated facet of Du Bois's approach for all that is talked about him. Same thing with King. King had to be organized out of his self-defense, arming for self-defense. But what I think is still confronting us as a major problem is for those of us who are as the essay here is saying, over all the talk of nonviolence and this, that, and the third, we haven't really figured out how to organize a politics around that. We haven't been able, that has been one of the more attacked and suppressed elements of the struggle. So it's not just that we haven't figured it out, it's that it's an attacked element of the struggle. And then to figure out how to have those politics and preferences play out materially. So in other words, I still find that I still think there's too much of a problem with people who say, I'm not for all that nonviolent stuff, but then there's no overt or clarity around how to express those politics. And then they'll often end up even engaging in electoral politics at the same way as any other sort of a nonviolent, peace-loving Democrat would. So like any form of expression that challenges that approach is still, I think we're struggling to figure out how to make that material. And then again, as we were talking about earlier this year, Malcolm had an affinity did try to organize and encourage urban guerrilla warfare elements and stuff like that as he was doing his more overt work as well. So I think he was trying to figure out that struggle. Like, how do we have an overt politics that is left of all this hand-holding nonviolent talk? And
Yeah, I just want to say, I, for one, see no issue with inciting violence. And for people who try to make this separation, I don't understand it. Because white people have no problem inciting violence. Them motherfuckers get everything they want from inciting violence. So why are we creating that separation? Even the thing that Geisha was reading about.
Only because we're on YouTube and we wouldn't want Google overlords to misunderstand what we're saying or doing here.
I mean, I'm just trying to cut you out a little bit. I'm not talking about no real crimes. Damn.
I'm going to disagree just for the sake of the algorithm. I don't agree with.
Maybe listening to you live.
Oh my God. Let me tell you, the back and forth that I've had with some of these folks, again, with the demonetization, I'm telling you, I feel like there's an odd amount of attention paid to what we're doing. And when they're ready, they have a lot of detail, including transcripts. They were quoting transcripts back to me at one point.
I think it was quoting transcripts.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
And when
I wasn't talking about violence.
No, I know you were being very clear. You were absolutely being very clear. We are absolutely. You were just representing an idea and a point that others have made out in this universe. This is not an advocacy project here on Black Liberation Media.
I would never encourage someone to do those things.
And I don't want people to think that my nervous laughter there was some sort of suggestion of irony. It was it's just my nervous giggle.
Not
Even as a
nervous.
kid, when I would be running from the police, I would be laughing.
Well, I'm gonna
I don't know why that is.
get us.
I believe that African people and all other people who are oppressed should be well organized, and increase the political sophistication of the people that they're trying to organize, and be very prepared to escalate when necessary. That's what I believe.
I was going to transition us right into that piece
I
you had up
agree.
about RAM, because I thought it was a perfect segue into that.
Yeah, go back to it, Geechee.
And I'm jumping ahead, but Black Men Bill, we've been reading Revolutionary Suicide by ancestor Huey Newton. And again, they had to deal with this strategy of how do you actually build daily programming for people, a mass line, a political line, an ideology that people can follow. So one thing, Geechee, I know you didn't really derail us, but I know you put us onto a different subject with the Amanda Seals thing. But what I took away from her take was, one, just the lack of ideology. For example, saying you're a radical is not an ideology. And then in her comments, she listed a lot of Black people who are radicals, absolutely, but who had very different ideologies and strategies and tactics and organizations. So I think she spoke like somebody who, I think Claudia said in the chat, is an individual without an organization. So lacking an ideology, and then also lacking a program with specifics. So again, when she was saying all these things, it kind of reminded me of me when I was debating back when I was a liberal and didn't have anything to ground shit in, where you might be aware of all the general answers, but you're not in the field enough to know the specifics. So when she's talking about reparations and the conservative asks, where do you get that money from? Somebody who is, in RAM might have a very specific answer. Dr. King had a very specific answer. It can go from the Department of Defense. It can come from the military, the U.S. Imperial Project, take money out of that and give it to Black people for reparations. But Amanda didn't make that point or any of the specifics of a reparations movement. She was just able to vaguely allude to the history. So that's, I think, important. And that's why I appreciated RAM. And what you have highlighted here, which was in challenge forms, it was a Black radical formation having no basic ideology. So they have to build an ideology, and then they have to build a program to actually serve the people. I see more here, but just talking a little bit about challenge and where RAM came from. They ended up aligning with this idea of revolutionary nationalism. And I know we talk about it quite a bit. Jared, I wanted to ask if you could maybe discuss this history as a scholar on Harold Cruz, revolutionary nationalism, and the Afro-American.
I wouldn't have much ready to say about that. It's been too long since I've read that work. I just know that Harold Cruz was at the time that he wrote that. What I do remember, because it figured in something that I was doing at the time, he promoted the idea of one form of internal colonialism or semi-colonialism, or in assessing this situation of the Black community. And now I'm probably conflating what his more popular work, now the name even escapes me, the Crisis of the Negro Intellectual, where he made interesting claims and arguments about some of the luminaries that some of us aspire to and have affinity for, everybody from Paul Robeson to John Henrik Clarke. But he was cautioning. One point that I definitely remembered from Cruz, that he was cautioning against the ready willingness of too many among us to find acceptance in what he called the cultural store of the United States. So I've always thought that was an important argument from Cruz. But the revolutionary, that latter work that you just referenced, that I'm again struggling to remember, is Revolutionary Nationalism and the Afro-American. I would need to revisit that for my own memory's sake, and probably should. I remember it being very good. I remember the vibe I got was good, but I don't remember enough of the details about it. Yeah,
you were there. I just wanted to bring up the internal colonialism point, because we've been basically making that argument from the beginning, from the prison struggle beginning in medieval pens in Africa. So this idea that it's a product of imperialism that's transformed throughout our historical experience. But I know Harold Cruz is really good at getting to domestic colonialism, internal colonialism, the idea that Afro-Americans, New Africans are a colonized people within the US context, which would mean that everything we struggle against is imperialism. But I know that was something that took a lot of time for Black people to come to recognize. And in my studies, I found like the NAACP, for example, and the SCLC actually pushed back against that analysis. And it was actually organizations like RAM that had to push it. So it was just this battle of ideas within our community over, are we a colonized people, or are we second-class American citizens that can, you know, be a part of the American dream? So I think the Black power, the Black liberation era is really about being more scientific about that analysis, like actually very clearly saying we're colonized, and a lot of scholars analyzing why. So that's what I've been seeing in this period.
So as a moment of kind of like to the point of like tactics and things that was effective and not so effective now, and then kind of to your point of if everything is associated with imperialism and we must be scientific, like I even read here with Challenge, like Challenge's main emphasis was struggling for more students' rights on campus, right? Which would be like a reformist or non-reformist reform, and also connecting the conflict that they're having with the campus to the larger struggle. In a year-long battle with the student college administration over student rights, members of Challenge became more radicalized. So it's kind of like even an example of using this particular fight that all people could be aware of, helping people see it, and as I kind of say, emotionally get connected to some outcomes and seeing how the administration responds to your demands or outcomes could also be a radicalizing tool or method to also connect it to the larger people, because I'm sure in college campuses, people who are there could be like, you know, that stuff is happening over there or whatever, but look at us, like we have the ability, kind of like all those Black conservatives say, we have the ability to be educated. We are in the space. We have, we're better off than people back at home per se. So using that moment to kind of show them and highlight the contradictions, I think is a strategy that to me, I see it doesn't die, because majority of the people aren't in organization and don't have a particular analysis. So you might have to have a particular way to bring them into the fold. So I think that paragraph right there kind of explains what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I know we're coming up on time, but I know we get into it in the next section on that again, that kind of break between whether or not we're
real quick.
Go ahead.
So let's go to the next section real quick.
Yeah, the March on Washington, absolutely. Because I think, again, this idea that we have reform versus revolution gets
I have
discussed
a conspiracy
here.
theory that the March on Washington was a scam, but
well, I think Malcolm supports your conspiracy theory, so I think he laid it out in message to the grassroots. But I appreciate it.
I was just gonna say we read that in our Black August class, and the class was eating that shit up. But yeah, I loved what he said in message to the grassroots. I thought that before I read it, but I still think that's still now too.
Can we talk about? So I like to talk about the tactic of the march, for example, because again, Geechee, you talked about like tactics and whether they're innovative or not. So originally, my understanding, and I think it's briefly touched on here, is that the march was to disrupt the Capitol, like to actually occupy DC. And so when I was thinking about those older tactics and how they don't necessarily work now, my whole point was that in the past, they disrupted white civil society. Like they deeply disrupted, like the sit-ins and all of those things actually disrupted white civil society in ways that like protests don't necessarily do the same today. So with this, I was always like, well, how is this march, even in their time, the way they did it, disrupting Washington, D.C., if the police are, coordinating it, if all those things. So hearing Malcolm talk about it and how originally it was supposed to occupy D.C. and freeze the nation's capital, something that sounds more in line with what George Jackson would be supporting, I thought was really important for our history and understanding movement history.
So would you say, I guess, as Malcolm talks about the started out as a Black grassroots movement, and obviously it had some type of sting to disrupt, or else they wouldn't be necessary for the presidents to call the leading liberals of each of those Black organizations to capture whatever energy was happening from the grassroots. So again, maybe the efforts to become a threat and the response of the state shows that whatever was happening prior to it being co-opted was something that can push the needle or move the needle.
Yeah.
Jared, Amber, I don't know if you have any thoughts. I know it's 9 o'clock and the guest should be coming up soon, but
yeah, no, I'm watching the emails and keeping an eye out for them. But I don't know, man. I really struggle with it, with all of this, and I've been going back and forth on this for years. The efficacy of these, and I saw that Rad pointed out that the Floyd reaction was disruptive, and then there was a lot done to dissipate that, including the nonprofit coalescing over it, and the business community sprinkling $50 billion on, so there was. I've like I've said, at one point, my advocacy, my the effort, and my small effort in groups that I was working with years ago was to say I think we should stop trying to do any overt work and stop all these projects and build actual organization instead of running around doing these smaller projects. Being in and around DC all my life, I've really become kind of cynical about the efficacy of all the protests. I mean, just constantly protests. There's constantly a march, constantly rallies, and yet we are where we are. So and then the stereotypical thing, you could literally walk around and see the same people literally in a Starbucks right after they were marching downtown with a sign. And it's like, so what are we doing? But at the same time, I also admit, in talking to some of the Answer Coalition folks and PSL folks that I'm moved by some of their arguments around the value of it. I'm moved by some of the arguments that BAP and AAPRP and others have made around the value of overt rallies and things like that. But I admit my personal struggle with it. And then I do remember, despite his eventually taking a hostile stance against me, the I think very important MC in Baltimore, Lab Tech One, had produced a track back when the Freddie Gray uprisings were occurring, where he explicitly called out in verse that Black people stop participating in these so-called uprisings that are going to get you set up and allow the white liberal nonprofit community to take all the credit. And I was like, wow, I was moved by that. So I'm just saying all that to say I'm in my own ongoing personal struggle. And Yipper, I'm walking by the Starbucks and can see them inside.
Can you read the comment? Can you actually read out the comment?
Yipper was saying, why are you at a Starbucks? And I'm saying, you don't need to be at the Starbucks. You can walk by the Starbucks on the way to your car and see people with the little signs sitting next to them, free whoever, as they are ordering their latte. DC is a fascinating place. Go ahead.
I mean, that's everywhere, unfortunately. I just wanted to add this point that we touch on BLM all the time about liberal counterinsurgency. And just this era, the role of the Democratic Party in destroying our movements, and then building false consciousness, because that's what I'm really worried about. Not so much the efforts and things like that. That's important. But what we're seeing, as Geechee was highlighting, is that there was an actual counterinsurgent effort by President Kennedy, who to this day, Black people will still say was a good president. Fuck Kennedy. I'll say that on the air. He's a terrible person. But again, this liberal counterinsurgency, he's actively steering our movements away from radicalism and paying people to be in charge of leadership. And so when you go to an event or when you go to an action and it's been co-opted so thoroughly, that's what leads to either false consciousness, where people keep investing in the same dead-end broke strategies over and over because they think they work, or burnout, because you're like, I came to this shit, Martin's here, and it's bullshit. So I think it's got a really negative effect on our movements that we have to,
I do think it has a negative effect. I also think it gives people this false idea of what radicalism is. Like, some of my friends think it's just so. We went to the March on Washington thing in 2021 when a whole bunch of movement orders were going. They paid for it, so that's why I went, because I like free trips. But they just thought this was like this huge radical thing, and I was just like, it's not. and I had not read this then, but I had read other things about like how it was co-opted. And the thing that I was most bothered by was like how all the black women who were doing work on it, like who helped to organize it, were pushed to the side, weren't allowed to speak, except for the black woman who was singing. And I just think it's fucked up because they went along with it because they want to be in the limelight and be in control of the movement. And so they went along with it without, saying something about how these black women were pushed to the side, who are the only reason why everything is organized, right? And why y'all are here is because of them. So a lot of that is another reason that like kind of pushed me to like detest that type of organizing even more. Like we even talked about in the class about Bayard Rustin because they were like asking about him and talking about the relation with the March on Washington. And I was like, he was a CIA informant. He ain't shit. He's a horrible person. And then they were like all in shock. So then I had to go down a rabbit hole showing them like the different information about Bayard Rustin because they all have learned about him as this great person. Here in Memphis right now, they have a Bayard Rustin exhibit up at the Natural Civil Rights Museum. They actually invited me to a VIP mixer reception that I did not go to, and I told them exactly why. And I told them that it was shameful that they would even put up an exhibit like this without telling the true story about who he was. Because he did a few good things, yes, but he also was a CIA operative. He was a spy. Like, why would you uplift that? And then they didn't send me no more messages after that.
So I think and this is kind of remind me of a conversation I had with some of our organizers yesterday, and then what y'all are all saying, and then also what Safia shares and between enemies and friends, having clarity around like at the time they didn't know what the fuck COINTELPRO was. Like that's something that they learned later on, but we could trace like, oh, the massive violence happened this way, and then imprisonments and political prisoners happened this way, and then the nonprofit industrial complex cleaned up the rest of the shit that was happening. And so when you think about like this funding thing, it to me is kind of interesting because like how can you be sure how, because funding can impact organizations in multiple ways, right? It could be like, oh, you can literally be getting funds from whoever the fuck, or it could engage, it could tamper or conflict with the type of organizing and the type of programs that you're building in a way where, again, people need resources and you're trying to organize in spaces where you're trying to help people gain resources. So I don't know. I think like the legitimization of movements or spaces or groups still kind of has a heavily influence on who's funded and who has the resources to be legitimized. And that funding don't actually have to come from the state or come from whatever. Or so yeah, I just think like that fund, there's a vast way to look at how funding today could be impacting some type of movement and our abilities to legitimize or delegitimize movements that we see and interact with.
So our guest is just now logging in. So if with permission, if we can hit that whatever and invite people to like, share, subscribe, invite friends and family, comrades and colleagues, and even frenemies to join us here as we come back in just a second.
Frenemies is crazy.
Organizer and activist Chris Smalls right here on the Remix Morning Show. Welcome back, everybody, to the Remix Morning Show, and joining us once again after too long a time. But Chris Smalls, welcome back to the platform. It's been a couple years. What you been up to, bro?
Oh man, I don't know. Just trying to save the planet. I don't know. Trying to save humanity.
Yeah, no, I know you've been very busy. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Amber. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I said it's a big thing to take on.
So, Chris Smalls, obviously you've been heavily involved in the labor organizing around Amazon, of course. Recently back from this must have been, I don't know, surreal, hostile experience in defense of Palestine. And we were just happy to wanted to catch up with you. I saw you recently on with our comrades over there on Breakthrough News, and was reminded that again it's been too long since you'd been over with us, and so we're happy to have you come on back. From my vantage point, and others can obviously jump in with comments and questions. I would just, I was sort of joking a moment ago, but if you would just maybe give us a quick summary update of what you've been up to maybe over the last few months, where you are now, and what efforts you are currently involved in trying to build.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I think the last time we spoke, I think I spoke to your class actually, and at Morgan State. That was where um I think our last conversation
You know what?
was.
With me, you're right. I'm sorry. You're
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
you're right.
So
Yeah.
it's been a very long time, and yeah, since then, since that last conversation, that might have been about 4 years ago. Um,
And then we had you over here, though admittedly under a
yeah,
different name, but because I remember I canceled my Prime membership during the show. So like,
yeah. This
yeah,
was
so yeah,
probably
anyway.
after we founded the after the union was established. I'm pretty sure I was over here, and that was yeah, 3 years ago now. The union, the Amazon Labor Union that we founded, first union in American history for Amazon workers based in Staten Island, New York, representing over 8,000 workers. And since then, I was the president for 3 years. I stepped down last year after my 3-year term. And since then, I've pretty much been traveling the world. I've been to about 30 different countries, just trying to spread the the good word of unionizing Amazon warehouses across the world. I've been fortunate enough to meet a bunch of Amazon workers in warehouses around the world, and be a part of some successful campaigns. And also, expand my I guess you could say my capacity, which included the liberation of Palestinian people. Before October 7th, I was fortunate enough to do a panel
Is the breakup just me, or is it
Nah, it's
okay? Hold on,
yeah,
Chris. You got a little bit
Chris.
of a connection issue there.
Palestinian community. Oh,
Sorry, I think we
Yeah,
missed a bulk of the last part of your comment there. You broke up there a little bit.
sorry.
Um, I was
Okay.
go
Can you
ahead.
hear
Yeah,
me?
yeah. Go ahead.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. So he gave, Dr. Borgatti gave me a powerful lesson on the history of Palestine. He invited me to go there, but unfortunately, October 7th happened. And the week of October 7th, I was in Berlin, one of the largest Palestinian communities outside of Palestine. Believe it or not, they're in Germany, of all places, and about 30 to 40,000 people, Palestinians live there. And I've seen with my own two eyes what was going on as the police was dragging Palestinians away from their children. They were tearing down Palestinian flags. They were suppressing freedom of speech, saying that we can't say free Palestine at protests. So I took that experience. I came back to the U.S. and I shared it. I posted the video, and I lost 10,000 followers in a matter of a day. Whether it was through Twitter X or Instagram, people who claim to have supported me for my fight against Amazon, but they were drawing the line when it came to Palestinian lives. So that right there woke me up. That I had a familiar feeling about this, saying that people didn't believe that we was going to beat Amazon. They were saying that it's impossible, unorganizable, you'll never get it done. And I felt the same way about Palestine, that people were quick to ignore the situation, was quick to write it off, saying that this is not outside. I mean, this is outside the scope of labor. It's not our concern. And I'm starting to hear these stigmas now about how the black community should sit this one out. And I just think that's just ridiculous in the times that we're in right now. We have to bring people together. That's how I was able to defeat a $2.2 trillion company like Amazon. I had to bring people together from all different backgrounds and creeds. And this is the time that we're living in now, where Palestine is bringing people together from all around the world.
And you know, your work was so effective that in an attempt to negate the work and even maybe to subtly promote this idea that black people sit this one out, Amazon apparently funded and supported one of the worst movies in modern history featuring Ice Cube, which I have not seen, but all the reviews seem to suggest this bit of Amazon propaganda is literally the worst film in modern history. So congratulations on that too. You inspired them to completely fall over themselves in an attempt to propagandize folks out of the work that you've been helping lead. But yeah, anybody, yeah,
Yeah.
Go ahead, yeah.
So yeah, peace, Chris. So there's you kind of said how you know things was waking you up, and then I know a bunch of people was asking you why you went over there, and your experience. There's some things that you said that you know it was shocking, like you didn't expect. So can you kind of share with us like what was you kind of expecting going over there, and then also like what was you hoping to maybe accomplish? I know like the bigger feat, but like in this particular trip, what was the thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a surreal experience. I usually expect the unexpected all the time. You know, that's just a part of even just organizing here in the States. You know, always expect the unexpected. And you know, when I went over there, honestly, I'm so optimistic. Uh, I felt that we were going to make it to Gaza. You know, that was always in my head. You know, even when we were having our meetings and they were like, you know, we had to prepare, train for being intercepted and kidnapped. My recollection was I always was being optimistic about making it to Gaza, and obviously, out of the 37 flotilla missions, only 5 of them made it to Gaza since 2008. You know, a lot of people thought that the Madeleine was the first one with Greta Thunberg 2 months ago, and the Handela that I was on a few weeks ago was the second one. But this initiative has been going on for over 2 decades, and I expected that maybe we'd be boat number 6 to make it, but unfortunately, um, even though we made it the furthest out of all of the missions in recent times, less than 60 miles away from the Gaza Strip. um, I said this in other interviews, the amount of racism, hatred, and bigotry from every person I encountered, from the IOF to the immigration authorities to the prison guards, I've never experienced that amount of hatred in my 37 years in the US. And I know that that sounds like extreme, but that is absolutely nobody can tell me from my entire experience there to the you know, from the beginning to the end, the things that I went through, it's not a coincidence. It was deliberate. It was by design. It's systematic. And I just tell you, but from the beginning, from my assault, 7 guards threw me to the ground. They put their knee on my back. They twisted both arms behind my back. They levitated me, carried me away like an animal. They pulled my hair. They used my chains to choke me to the point where I couldn't breathe. They separated me from the rest of the crew. They kept me in a separate room. They heavily guarded me the entire time. 5 guards watching me. Everywhere I walked around the port, guards were holding on to me, just making sure that I didn't move or speak. And they were saying some racist remarks, saying, you know, I'm nothing like them, or you know, we're not even close. You're not my brother. And the rest was in Hebrew, but expression, body language, you know, you can't tell me they weren't saying derogatory things. And even when we got to prison, it became psychological warfare now. You know, they were weaponizing food against us because they knew we were on the hunger strike. They raided our cell twice, made us strip naked for no reason, knowing that we couldn't smuggle anything. We were already checked to get in as the process. And the last few things they did, besides lying to me every day, they would make me get dressed. acting like I was going home, knowing that I wasn't, slammed the door in my face. And it's no coincidence, once again, that I was one of the last to leave. I was there for 5 days. Me and my Arab brother, Hatem from Tunis. Um, we the only two people of color. I'm the only black man. He's the only Arab. We stayed in prison the whole 24 hours after everybody else was already deported. If not, they were deported days sooner. And everybody else out of the 14 prisoners, uh, 12 of them were delivered straight to Tel Aviv airport and deported back to their countries. Me and Hatton was the only two that was dropped off at the border of Jordan. So everything from the beginning to the very end was systematic, and they definitely was deliberate on their racism. They showed it, through and through.
One more follow up. I know there's a and as much as you can talk about it, I know there's a lawsuit that you are filing against the ICC. I'm curious what you can share about that, but also I know Israel is challenging ICC's jurisdiction. So like, yeah, I'm just curious about the efforts there and what would you hope to get out of that?
Absolutely, yeah. So let me explain first. For those who don't know, Israel has no jurisdiction on international waters. This was ruled by the ICJ over a year ago in the case of South Africa versus Israel for genocide. Secondly, as a provision of that lawsuit, humanitarian aid cannot be blocked. They have no right to block humanitarian aid. That was also ruled by the ICJ, by land, air, or sea. So everything that we were doing was completely legal. They have no right to kidnap us once again on international waters, especially that we were in Palestinian territories, being less than 60 miles away from Gaza. They have no jurisdiction there as well. And yeah, you're right. They're disregarding international law. They obviously, there's no accountability to the war crimes that are being committed every day, from the starvation to the killing of innocent people and the blocking of humanitarian aid. There's a level 5 famine in effect. That's the highest level. And millions of people are at risk right now. So, what I attempted or attempt are going to attempt to do is proceed with legal filing about my assault. I went on the ICC website and I filed my official complaint, and I'm just here waiting to hear back from them. But I'm going to absolutely pursue as much as possible legal action um, to see how far I can get with it. And one thing I wanted to shed light on, if you were paying attention with the Mad Lean, what they tried to do with the propaganda, Israel released photos of the passengers after they captured them with sandwiches and water, trying to call it a selfie yacht, desensitized what the mission was about, breaking the siege. And they tried to act like they were the good guys, giving out sandwiches and water to the volunteers they kidnapped on the last one. With the Hundela mission, there's virtually nothing. If you look, try to look, they haven't released any pictures of our voyage. Why? A few things. One, we killed their propaganda, announcing a hunger strike before they kidnapped us, and we remained on that hunger strike the entire time in captivity. Two, they assaulted me right away. They had a camera crew. For those who don't know, they come on board. The IOF come on board with a camera crew. They're ready to get propaganda from the very beginning. They had their own camera crew with the IOF. Then when they transferred us over to the immigration in the morning, um, they had a camera crew at the docks waiting for us. So we started chanting "Free Palestine." We started chanting out. I gave them a piece of my mouth as a New Yorker, and that's when they assaulted me. And their camera crew picked up all of that, but they haven't released any of that footage. So what I'm hoping with this lawsuit, since I saw a statement in one of the articles in the Guardian, they of course they pulled the black man aggression card, saying that I was the aggressor, that I was the one that's provocative, that it was pre-planned, that I was going to try to do something, which is ridiculous. Um, I told them in response, release the footage. Since you claim that I was the aggressor, you can debunk all of that right now and release the footage, and they haven't. So hopefully with this lawsuit, I could try to subpoena that. I know there was cameras at the ports. I know that they had journalists there, and I hope that I know for a fact if anybody see the images from what they did to me, it'll shock the world. It will drop your jaw.
Hey, so one, I just want to say, my homie Afeni.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, love her.
Yeah.
And two, I just want to talk about, like, me and my friends were in our group chats very worried about you when you went over there for like the same reasons other folks were. And so I just want to know, like, what pushed you beyond like what you knew about Palestine? Like, what pushed you to actually take the risk and go, knowing like that something could happen.
Yeah, I mean, as a father, I looked at my kids. I only had 24 hours to make a decision, really. Um, and the only people I told was my kids. I couldn't even tell. I didn't even talk with my union. I didn't talk with my mother, my mom, my mother, my family members. Um, and I knew, people would try to talk me out of it, which is understandable. But I also knew the times that we're in right now is very dire, very dark times. And 2 years of watching on my Instagram, on our social media, 500,000 people being slaughtered. Um, when is it going to be enough? And as a labor leader in America, these labor unions have been complicit. I've been calling them out. Some of these federations, the AFL-CIO, the longshoremen who once stood on the right side of history with the apartheid against South Africa, these labor federations have been silent. They actually has zero resolution since October 7th, and they continue to manufacture and ship weapons to Israel every 15 hours for the last 22 months. So that's the labor part to it. And just as an American taxpaying citizen, our taxpaying dollars going towards this. Um, Not only I'm outraged, but we all should be outraged that billions of dollars of our taxpaying dollars is going towards this genocide when we have so many issues right here in America that we need to deal with. And this started with the Biden administration. This is a bipartisan genocide. This is not, everybody want to say Trump, 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 but this started with Joe Biden and continue even when Kamala was running. So knowing that this is a two-party system uh, that we're dealing with, I'm trying to escape that and show people another way. I've been to countries around the world where there's multi-party governments, where uh, socialism is not just a catchphrase, where trade unions are militant, like you see in the actions they're taking in Greece. The unions I've met with, these unions are shutting down the docks, shutting down the ports where Israel's arms can't get through. These type of things can happen right here in the U.S. right now with these labor unions, and instead of them taking action, they are once again being complicit, if not even more, participating. And the blood is on their hands. And I'm just trying to once again use my platform and my body to spread awareness, and also just once again represent the Black community in a way that I know is unprecedented, but also, if you look at our history, Palestinian liberation has always stood with the civil rights movement from the very beginning.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's true. I do want to ask one question from the chat real quick, Lord, and then you go. Is that okay?
I think we're looking at the same thing. Go ahead.
Oh, you finna ask Leah's question?
Something similar, but you got it.
Go ahead then. Go ahead, Lord.
Okay. Peace, Chris. Wanted to salute you in the spirit of Black August as we honor the work of political prisoners for what you did. And I had a question, and it's similar to a question we see in the chat here. There's this line of bad faith kind of argument that goes, why are you as a Black man going to Palestine rather than Congo or Sudan, or in this case, even Washington, D.C., where the Black people are under, attack from empire? So I just wanted to ask if you could speak to that, because I know a lot of folks will say that to discourage actions like yours.
Yeah, great question. I mean, once again, here's the difference between and it's not really a difference. Uh, the Palestinian genocide that's taking place, it's way worse. We all know. Even I was just talking about this yesterday on another live stream. what's happening in Syria right now, in Sudan, it's 10 times, and especially in the Congo, 10 times worse than what's going on in Palestine. Um, the issue is uh, this genocide is being live streamed. And I think, not saying that the other ones, there isn't no social media posts about it. You can see it if you have that in your algorithm. They try to suppress it, of course. Um, but when it came to Palestine, uh, it was more of the fact that it's being live streamed. It's more the fact that the younger generation has really took heed and trying to speak up about the liberation of Palestine. And when it comes to Congo or Sudan, I've never ruled out that I wouldn't try to even risk my life in any of that. You know, I say people like, do what you feel is necessary, what's calling to you. You know, we can't, I'm not a messiah. I'm not I'm not somebody, I'm not even a hero. I'm just a civilian like everybody else. I have 24 hours like everybody else. And when people say these type of things like, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? I just throw it right back to them. Like, why don't you do it? Why don't you do that? Because we all have a role to play. And that's what we're missing. When we're talking about a revolution, being a revolutionary, it starts with yourself. It really starts with yourself. It starts at home. It starts in your own community. You have to find the community that you feel you can amplify the efforts in, you feel safe in, and do what you can to contribute to that movement, whatever it is, whatever the calling is. Um, and this in particular, this time, is Palestine, but that doesn't rule out the fact that Congo, Sudan, Syria, uh, all of these other countries are still going through genocide, and they have been for even over 100 years. Um, the opportunity will present itself when the time is right. Everything's about timing, and I feel like if we liberate Palestine, all of these other genocides that are taking place, they will get a spotlight. They will have their opportunity where we can now rise together as a people. Because what Palestine is doing, like I mentioned, is bringing the world to its knees, and it's saying every time one of these kids are innocent people are being killed, we're losing a piece of humanity. And the reason why this was a strong calling for me is because, once again, as a father, and I'm looking at my kids and seeing how privileged they are, even though um, we have our own struggles in our community. um, my kids don't have to go through nearly not even a fraction of other kids in other third world countries, or countries with blockades like Cuba, which I was also fortunate to visit as well. And I just say I don't want a future where my children are going to grow up in some type of apocalyptic type of environment, or some type of authoritarian democracy like we see that Trump is trying to establish here, or even worse, a war zone, an active war zone. Because I can tell you now, America's overdue for a civil war. And I've been to DC already. Since I've been home, I only been home for 2 weeks. I was down there. I was with Afeni literally the day before she got arrested. Um, I've definitely been calling that out. I've been to the encampments in DC already, and I'm absolutely heavily involved with a lot of people and organizations down there, and I will be spreading my efforts as well. And yeah, this is just the beginning. Like, people got to understand, this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. The fight that we signed up for is a lifetime fight. This is a lifetime struggle, just like our ancestors who died, who paved the way, who blood, sweat, and tears went into the movement. We have to pick up where they left off. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just one person trying to do the best I can with the platform that I have, and it doesn't mean that I won't ever visit the Congo or visit Sudan, Syria, these other countries that's going through genocide. I have to just take one battle at a time right now, and I promise you, when the opportunity presents itself, you will see, me take action. At least for me personally, I will absolutely take action in the best of my ability.
Yeah, I think the like purity test around organizing and like why isn't why aren't we speaking about all these other things too and only Palestine? It's just not realistic because we are talking about other things. I think that certain things get more spotlight, but also I think it's great. It's a good idea to challenge them. Like, why aren't you organizing around those things? People will ask me all the time, like, why am I not organizing around certain stuff? I'm like, because what I'm organizing around right now is what I'm choosing to do, and there's a lot happening in the world that you all
Hmm.
could take on as well, but expecting me to only, organize on the stuff that you want me to talk about is just not realistic.
Absolutely not. I've seen people respond like, "Oh, he hasn't said anything about the Congo," and it's like that's a lie. You can look on
Yeah.
my page right now and go scroll down my IG, which people don't do. They take things surface level. If you scroll down my IG, you will see several posts about Congo, and I even took it a step further. I've been raising money for Congo for over a year, and people would not even know that because they'll take things surface level and say, "Oh, he's only talking about Palestine." That's not true. I've always mentioned Congo, Sudan. I've been in contact with organizations over there. Like I said, I just got my passport 3 years ago when we won the union.
I also just got
Seventy
my
percent of
passport
Amer
3 years ago.
exactly 70% of Americans don't have a passport. So all of these people that are talking online, because it's easy to have Twitter fingers and be a keyboard warrior. They're sitting on the sidelines talking. These people don't even have a passport, haven't even been to countries that are really going through either better or for worse than America. They don't even know what it's like to cross the border to go to Canada that has higher union density or Mexico. So when I as you mentioned already, you put it beautifully. Like we're just one person and we can't take on everything at a time. It's got to be I take the way I organize is one day at a time for the last 5 years since I've been fired from Amazon. I never knew. If you'd have asked me 5 years ago, had I that I'd be on the flotilla to Gaza, I'd have looked at you like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Or if you'd have asked me 3 years ago that I'd have been the president of the Amazon labor union, the first union in history for America, I would have been like, "What are you talking about?" But you never know where life is going to take you, and you take things one at a time, one day at a time, one battle at a time.
I like
Yeah.
this Latif's point here about thumb thugs, the
I'm
thumb
thinking about
thugs that are coming for you. First of all, I find it hard to believe that anybody doing whether they're so I would even want to step back for just a quick second and say, let's say for example, that what you just said was not the case, and you had not been actively involved or calling for support for the Congo or anyone else. I find it hard to believe that people who are seriously involved in those struggles would do anything other than at that minimum reach out to you, or at most reach out to you and just invite you to participate and learn, as opposed to going online and condemning you for not doing it. If they're seriously involved themselves, they would either be aware that you have been commenting, or they would just simply look to involve you. This idea that you're somehow actively concerned about some other part of the world that you feel like is being underserved, and therefore your tactic is to condemn people who are demonstrating a willingness to be in solidarity with people who need it, is just I think is a confession more than anything else. I
Absolutely.
I
Agree.
am I'm fascinated a little bit by your international travel, and I'm wondering if you could one, talk about its importance to your concept of the world and struggle and the work. And I'm also interested in sort of the reverse of what you mentioned earlier. That is, when Black people here are too often, at least, encouraged not to see our collective struggles connected to other people around the world. To what extent are you seeing people in parts of the world where you are traveling looking for that solidarity with Black people here? But yeah, talk about any of that, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, once again, when I, at 33 years old, I got my passport. And when I left the country for the first time, it was like a whole nother world. Um, and I've been fortunate enough to been to countries with higher union density, like the Nordics, Sweden. And I realized I'm like, we've been duped here in America. These other countries that I've been to, some of them, um, just to name some of the policies that some of these countries have, and some of the qualities of life that these countries have. For example, in Cuba, and I keep bringing it back to Cuba because we're talking about a country that's been dealing with a blockade for over 60 years, from the US, by the way. Uh, and it's shocking how resilient these people are. They were so happy when my experience there. Uh, Universally, there's every worker has a house there. There's no homelessness. There's no crime rate. The crime rate is like 0.1%. It's petty crime. Everybody's safe. Everybody's happy. Every worker has a house. You go to other countries, there's universal health care. They have that in Canada. If you need a heart surgery, you walk into the hospital, get a heart surgery. Um, you look at once again, 90% union density compared to America when it's less than 6% in the private sector, less than 10% in the public sector. Even though we talk about these labor victories like Amazon workers or Starbucks workers or the UAW, any of these labor victories, they're relatively small compared to the rest of the world, where we're talking about, once again, millions, hundreds of millions of people opposed to just a couple of million people here in the US. And when I look at the policies of our government, the two-party system I'm talking about, uh, other countries I already mentioned have multi-party governments like a Labor Party, something that we once had in the US in the 70s that was dissolved, killed by the two-party system. We see how they attacked third parties last year with the presidential campaign. And what I noticed from my personal experience, um, every presidential candidate that was running against Trump or Biden or Kamala came to my office last year to talk to me. Jill Stein, Marion Williamson, Cornel West, Claudia De La Cruz. This is all four of the independent parties. Green Party, the Party for Socialism and Liberation, Cornel West, um, and his independent party, and Marion Williamson, she ran as an independent Democrat. All four of these presidential candidates came to my office and talked to me. And I told them, you know, without labor endorsements, uh, your chances are slim to none. And what we've seen here, all of the major unions in our country have been selling this out for decades. This is why union density is on the decline. And they sold us out even more when they endorsed Joe Biden, but then at the same time call out ceasefire. You can't do both. You can't call out ceasefire and then endorse the party that's enabling genocide. Didn't make any sense. They wasn't listening to the working class, and they damn sure wasn't listening to the younger generation. The students started their encampments last year for a reason. That was a cry to the politicians to literally listen to them, and they ignored it, and instead they fell flat on their face with the worst presidential campaign we ever seen. They went and got Oprah, the billionaire. They went and got Beyonce, the billionaire. They went and got Megan Thee Stallion, the twerk for you. They went and got Quavo, the rapper. So the Democratic Party used the same traditional playbooks that they've been using, and it failed terribly. And now we have a Trump administration again. What I've seen, um, this is blatant in our face. And what my experience is internationally, I said, there's no way that I'm going to not take the experience and bring it back home. So what I've been working on for the last few months is trying to revitalize the once U.S. Labor Party to escape the two-party plantation. And the way I hope to do it is if you go on my website that's already up, if you look at our social media, you can find it through Minds, the U.S. Labor Party, you'll see that the policies that I just mentioned, from universal health care to eradicating homelessness to ending all of the wars, to having universal child care. That's important. Things like that. All the policies that we rightfully deserve to have a better quality of life here in America is in the party that I'm trying to build. And my goal is to put these labor unions, who have millions of members here, in a position, hopefully, we'll see how 2028 goes, in a position to say, what side are you really on? Are you really on the side of the working class? Because you're supposed to be the shield for the working class. Or are you going to continue selling this out to corporate greed and corporate parties with dark money and APAC and genocide? The choice is yours. And hopefully they make the right decision. But if not, this party is for the people. I am asking everybody who have interest to help me build this party. I can't do it alone, as I mentioned. The party is going to be built from scratch, from the bottom up, grassroots, and that's the way it should be. The reason why the Democrats and the Republicans and uh, the labor unions are failing to meet the working class where it's at, because they don't include grassroots efforts. The exclusion of myself and the ALU, the Amazon Labor Union, when we are independent, that was a prime example of it. Labor unions have the power to invest in grassroots organizing right now. They have the power to call a general strike to get everything that we need in this country right now. They have millions of dollars of strike funds, some of these unions. We're talking about mutual aid. We can start with our labor unions, but instead they have been complicit. And I'm gonna take it a step further. Most of these labor unions are ran by white men. Uh, if you ask anybody, like, who was the first, how many black international presidents do you know of? If you only know Chris Smalls, that's the problem. And that's the conversation that's got to really be talked about. The labor movement is not haven't been as inclusive as it should been for a very long time. We are now just seeing SEIU elect the first black woman, and everybody's like, it took 100 years to get to that point. The first black president in over 100 years is not a victory. That's a shame, because it should have happened already decades ago. Uh, the first black president that you heard about is Chris Smalls at 33 years old. That's a shame, because it should have been more black presidents for these unions decades ago. There's a lot of gatekeepers, not only in the labor movement, but there's a lot of gatekeepers in politics. We are watching real time how these politicians who been in office for 30, 40, 50 years, some of them, stroking on TV. When I go to other countries, I'm meeting politicians that are 25 years old, fresh out of college. And their quality of life meet the times that we live in now. Because the younger generation, and even this generation, uh, the millennium, we know what we deserve, but we're just not fighting hard enough to get it. And we have to do more. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do with this party, is build a party that's going to represent everybody.
That's very true about the young politicians. We actually have a lot of young politicians in the South, even if people forget that the South really be making moves. But there's a 18-year-old mayor in Earl, Arkansas, which is about an hour from me here in Memphis. There's 30-year-olds who are on our city council and our county commission. There's a lot of people who ran for races in the South that just don't get a lot of highlights. And one other thing I want to mention was, since we're doing Black August right now, I'm doing a lot of studying around like movements and establishments and stuff. And I think that the way people question us currently as organizers about not focusing on everything is so unrealistic to like even the history of movements, right? Like when you had SNCC, they were focused on one particular thing. They weren't focused on everything that was happening. When you had like organizing in Mississippi, they were focused on registering people to vote. That was it. When you had stuff happening in Birmingham, they were focused on desegregating lunch counters. Like they weren't doing every single thing either. They focused on their one particular thing and they were good at that and they were achieving that. But now we got to be everything for everybody. It's not making sense.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
want to raise something in the chat, just
Please.
ask you a question. Also, Chris, have you heard of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, Fannie Lou Hamer's party in Mississippi?
I have, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah, I have, yeah.
Yeah, just curious. Hearing your effort.
Have you also heard the Minnesota DFL?
Minnesota DFL? No. No, I haven't
So
heard of that one.
Minnesota currently, their like Democratic Party is the Democratic Farmer Labor Party, and they're organized a little bit different than like a lot of the other Democratic parties. They have more of a labor focus. So maybe look into them too. They have interesting practices, I think.
I absolutely will.
One question that came up is just about these independent party histories and things like that. Chris, as I asked, what is your plan to bring people from DSA, PSL, Green Party, Working Family Party, et cetera, together? There are already so many different parties and groups.
Once again, labor represents everybody. And, I understand there's been independent parties that formed years ago, even before I got on the scene. My plan is simple, once again, the party that I'm trying to build is to bring everybody within the left together under this umbrella of labor. You can bring up any movement, whether it's civil rights, whether it's social injustice, whether it's climate, whether it's women's rights, black liberation, whatever you want to call it. At the end of the day, we're all workers. Whether you have a job, whether you don't have a job, your labor is your only weapon. And withholding your labor is really your value. Jeff Bezos can't pack a box at a warehouse. Elon Musk can't build his cars. So really, who are the billionaires? It's the working class, the people. And the pandemic showed us that essential workers means that we are a necessity. They need us to go to work in order to keep the economy going. So the party that I'm building, um, is supposed to bring everybody together under this one umbrella, but incorporate many values that they already started in their own parties, but also meet the times that we're in now, with the international aspect to it. Why is it that the 37-year-old black man from New Jersey, who got catapulted into the media spotlight, who started the union for Amazon workers, who just got his passport, was one of the first presidents to visit some of these communist and some of these socialist countries, when these other unions have access to the same thing? These other labor leaders could do the same type of work that I'm doing. But I promise you, and this is how, here's the difference between me and everybody else. Uh, I'll show up to a working families rally. I know plenty of people in working families. I know Maurice. Shout out to Maurice, my brother. Uh, Same thing, DSA. I've done plenty of events with DSA. Shout out to Claudia De La Cruz from the Party of Socialism and Liberation. She's a neighbor of mine. She's a friend of mine. I'll show up to events for them. I'll support. So I've supported all of them in some capacity. Same thing with Jill Stein. Done things with her virtually. She came to my office, visited my workers, and what I told them again is that these labor unions, the same labor unions I mentioned, they are not going to endorse you guys. Why is that? Why is the fact that even though your policies are better, the things that you're fighting for are better for us as a working class? Why is it that these labor unions won't endorse y'all? Because they let politics lead their organizations. Whatever the Democrats do, is what these major labor unions do. When the labor unions had the opportunity to do exactly what I did, I spoke out about Palestine early on, lost 10,000 followers overnight. But instead, they said they sat on their hands. Some of them took 6 months to even utter the word ceasefire because they waited for the Democrats to do it first, play it safe, let the politicians say ceasefire, then we follow up. We can't allow that. sometimes we got to take stances that are uncomfortable. Me, I'll take it a step further. I like direct action. So my direct action was going to Gaza on the flotilla. Ask any other labor leader in this country to join the next mission, and I'll help them. I'll help them get on the flotilla. But I promise you, none of them, zero, will be willing to risk their lives to go on a mission to go to Gaza. None of them are going to go to some of these third world countries that I've been to, like Cuba, or like or even go to France and meet with the CGT, the Communist Union, the largest union in France, who shut down their country when France tried to raise the retirement age 2 years ago. Why won't they do that? That's simple. Or go visit some of the unions that have been unionized against Amazon for over a decade. Why is it that I was the first one at 30 something years old to go sit down and meet some of these communist, socialist governments, and etc., and then try to bring that back to America? Because there's a disconnect. There's a huge disconnect between, once again, these labor unions and the working class and these politicians and the working class. What I'm trying to do with the Labor Party is say, hold on, we need to come together as the working class. Here's a party that has uh, a grassroots efforts, that has policies that meets the times that we in, and we can all build it together. I can bring people from DSA, socialism, of the party of socialism, the Green Party, the Working Families Party, uh, the parties that you guys just mentioned, and I could bring them together, have a meeting with them, and say, let's hash this shit out. Sorry for my language. Let's hash this out, and let's build a party that is going to challenge the status quo right now. And that's what I hope to do. Now, we know the way capitalism works, it keeps everybody divided, keeps everybody in boxes, and it creates fear and doubt. That's how capitalism thrives. And of course, racism, like Malcolm X said. So we can't allow us to be put in boxes. Like, for example, the prime one right now is Black people sit this one out. That didn't come from Black people. That came from our oppressors that want us to sit this one out all the time. They said the same thing during George Floyd, remember? 5 years ago when George, oh, it's white people turn. Black people sit this one out. That's what they want us to do. They want us to sit this one out every time. Now it's Palestine. It's like, sit this one out. It's not our fight. No, every fight is our fight. And they want us to be divided because that's how they're able to control and put out the propaganda and keep us divided and keep us in fear and doubt that we can't come together as people. And that's why we have to continue to bring people together. I'm hoping that this party will somehow speak to you in some capacity and help me build. I'm saying, as the person who's starting it, help me. As Dr. Ball said, when you're talking about Congo and Sudan, these people that are keyboard warriors, yeah, I'm one of the most accessible people that you can ever imagine. You can send me a DM on Instagram, and if it speaks to me, I will show up. I will pull up for you, and people know that. And that's what I'm able to do the work that I'm able to do.
So Chris, I don't know if you had the opportunity to hear any of our conversations around the after party. One of the concepts that Jarrett talked about, but just and then we've had conversations with August Nimps a little bit. I don't know if you heard or read Ballot, The Streets of Both. But as Nimps argued, even Lenin's electoral strategy, they at one point decided to collapse with liberals, and then they corrected themselves later on to have the standalone worker. So I'm curious if that's even some of your positions, because I mean, even with Worker Family Party, I don't think most people conclude that they're like radical or worker. And I do think that some of their tactics of engaging in entryisms with the Democrat Party kind of still had them conjoint with them. So I'm just curious. I'm curious. You mentioned Claudia and them, and we fuck with Claudia over here heavy. But I wonder if you are clear on like, yeah, there's certain literally liberal parties that I'm not really rocking with. I'm not even trying to be in conversation with.
Oh,
And then there's
1000%.
people that, yeah. I'm wondering how you look at, why one of those parties can't be struggle with to push them into a legit worker party as opposed to building something totally new.
Well, here's the thing. These parties, as you mentioned, not so much Claudia, because I know she's been doing the work. She don't just talk the talk; she walks the walk. That's who I want as a leader. Somebody who not just talk the talk, but walk the walk. When you talk about these other parties, it's very few, select few that you can say actually talk the talk and walk the walk. That's number one. Number two, you're right. Endorsing, um, they'll endorse people and then usher them into the Democratic Party later on down the line, and this initiative of we can try to change the party from within. That'll take a lifetime. Um, I don't believe in that. I don't believe that you'll be able to change the Democratic Party at all. As you know, and I said this yesterday on Breonna Joy Gray show. I said the Democratic Party might have killed their party forever last year when Kamala lost, and I mean it. That was for me in my 37 years. I think that was the worst presidential election campaign I've ever witnessed in my entire life, if not one of them in history in our entire lives. That presidential election last year. Um, the Democratic Party's in trouble. You can see right now they're still scrambling. And I'll take it another step. My kidnapping. I met all of these Democrats from Bernie Sanders to AOC to Joe Biden. I've been to the White House, Kamala, you name them, I met them. The only one I didn't meet is Obama, but that's a whole nother conversation. But I tell you this, they were silent at the fact that 7 Americans was on the hunt. 7 of us was kidnapped. The U.S. Embassy said nothing. The politicians, these progressives, said the only one that I can vouch for is Summer Lee. Summer Lee did go hard and tweet and share and post about me being in prison. So I give her credit. And I did, been fortunate enough to meet her. But get back to your question. Um, I will absolutely not conform to trying to uh, incorporate people who do not align with the values that we're fighting for. Um, the way I did it on Staten Island, going back to the Staten Island is the only red borough out of the five. It's the only one. It's AKA Trump Island. Trump flags everywhere. I couldn't go to this island and be like, hey, I got Bernie Sanders and AOC on my side, or I got this progressive coming to visit us, or whatever. The commonality was Jeff Bezos make too much damn money. That that resonated with whether you was on the left or right, whatever your political ideology is. We can all agree that the person who makes $13 billion a day, $9 million an hour, $5,000 a second makes too much damn money off of our backs, and we all deserve higher wages right now. Meanwhile, we're struggling at Amazon working 2 to 3 jobs to make ends meet. Something's wrong here. That commonality brought people together. The same thing with these parties. What is the commonality that brings us together? It's labor. Once again, no matter what movement you're fighting for, whether it's Palestine to civil rights to women's rights, at the end of the day, labor brings us all together. You're a worker, or your labor is your value. Now, the party, just because I'm calling it a labor party, doesn't mean that labor unions are going to run the party. It just means that at the end of the day, we're all laborers, and we all need a party that represents us as laborers. And labor unions should want to be a part of this party because this party represents the labor movement as well, but it represents every movement. I do not see how uh, once again, you could talk out of both sides of your mouth. You can't call ceasefire and endorse the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. You can't say that you stand for the working class, but it's set for Palestinian liberation. You can't say that you know that you're fighting tirelessly for a ceasefire and then virtually you did nothing. And you, we're past that. It's now about taking action. And I see a way forward through the Labor Party. I don't see no other way around it. Hopefully, people like Claudia will help me. I haven't had the conversation with her, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. And I'm not the type to close the door on anybody.
Is the internet trying to close the door on him? Listen, everybody, I need to
I'm the time
please,
is
Chris. Sorry, everyone. First of all, forgive me, everybody. My sincerest apologies. I have to leave immediately, and forgive my abrupt exit. Chris, thank you very much for doing this. Please, everybody, continue the conversation. Lorik, Amber, Geechee, thank you all very much. And Chris, great to see you again. Please keep up the good work. Be safe. Salute, and the same to the
you too,
undefeated
brother.
chat. And once again, my apologies, everybody. Please forgive this
Have fun
this
teaching the
abrupt exit.
kids, Jared. I hope they learn something.
No, man. No work.
Yeah, peace, everybody. Peace.
I understand, brother. Take care, man. We'll be in touch.
Thank you. Likewise, right on.
Chris, I was just gonna say, just because you're forming this party that's gonna most likely be encompassing with all the other things, doesn't mean people have to quit those other things they're in to join. I also think we have this like idea that like it's one or the other is like very it keeps us from like, learning more, organizing more. Like you can join this and also still be in PSL or Working Families Party or all those other things. I'm in multiple orgs. Like you don't have to choose one or the other.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm not trying to take people away from what they already been building. And I damn sure don't want to step on anybody's toes. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to amplify your efforts and bring more people into the fight. The reason why we ended up in a country that has less union density than virtually any other country in the world is because people are not organizing. People are not, labor unions are not organizing. There's no, numbers don't lie. Less than 6% in the private sector, that's 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 embarrassing. It's embarrassing, beyond embarrassing, when you're talking about a country that has some of the most powerful unions, like the Teamsters, who represent over 1.5 million workers, are the SEIU of the world, the nurses union, the teachers unions, all of these strong unions, but their membership is dying and declining every day because the jobs that are being created are ununionized jobs. And now we're not even talking about the threat of artificial intelligence. AI is coming to replace us. Newsflash. If these labor unions don't fight the government for regulations to protect our jobs, in the next 3 to 4 years, 50% of American jobs are going to be replaced overnight by artificial intelligence. You already see self-driving cars. We already been dealing with cashless registers, going to these stores, self-checkout, going to the airport. You got to use a kiosk for everything now. You got to get an app for everything now. You got to get a subscription for virtually everything now. It's right in front of us that they're trying to replace virtually everything with artificial intelligence. Amazon has invested billions of dollars. There's already warehouses opening up that they have operating with just robots. So we know what our opposition is already doing. We know the plan is right in front of us. What are we going to do as a working class? Where's the shield at? And if these labor unions don't do it, it's up to the people to do it. The same thing. When our government fell, the people have to step up.
Yeah. I also think that labor unions haven't done a good job of even like showing the people who are in the union why they should stay in the union. Because one of the guys that I date that lives in New Jersey, actually, where you are, he's in the union, but he was like, yeah, I'm in the union because they just kind of tell us to do it, but like I don't see a point of being in it. It doesn't help me. It does nothing. I was like, they don't explain the benefits or anything. He was like, no, it really doesn't seem like it's worth it, but it's not like a big deal. We're all in the union, so I'm just in it.
Yeah, I've been in that situation before too. You know, I was before working at Amazon, I was a teamster at a grocery distribution warehouse. I wasn't an active organizer, so it took me almost a year to even find out how to read the contract that they signed, 10 years prior. And when I read the contract, I said, "Who the hell signed this? I wouldn't have signed this." It basically said we got no raises for like 10 years, and yeah, the benefits were very minimal. And I'm like, I wouldn't have signed this contract. And if you don't look as a union member, where you're a rank and file member, your union dues is going towards this organization, you have to not only be active, but you have to look at your constitution, you have to look at your contract, know what type of union you're in. And if it's not uh I guess you could say up to par, you have to really push for that. Me, what I did, unfortunately, I quit the job, but I ended up at Amazon leaving that unionized job because I felt like this unionized job, well, once again, the union didn't represent me. Um, and I had to leave for that reason. But going back to circling back to why I created the union for Amazon workers, um, I know that what happened during COVID-19 should have never happened. If we did have a union, at least the union would have shut down the warehouse until we were able to get the protection that we needed. But I had to do what I had to do. It cost me my job.
So y'all
You
watching
know,
the
as
remix?
an
You
advocate
watching
of
the?
quitting jobs, I understand.
Sorry, Amber. You're watching the Remix Morning Show. We're here with brother Chris Smalls, Amber, Lorik, and Geechee, and Jarrett just left. And before we wrap, you talked about support and things like that, especially as you develop and engage in electoral strategy. We here. You can always come through and build with us. And there's a lot of discussion around that because I do think there's some clarity that needs to be grappled with when it relates to how do African people, workers, um, engage with electoral strategy in a way, and then what is the utility of that thing? And I think we still struggle with that, so we definitely here for that build. But is there anything else that's going on or coming up that we should be looking out for, and then how could we people can plug in with you?
Yeah, I mean, in the short term, I'm going to continue just trying to build internationally. I got some international trips coming up in September. Next week, I'll be in Detroit at the Palestine People's Conference. I'm going to continue amplifying um, the liberation of Palestine. And yeah, there's a Freedom Flotilla, the global Samud flotilla is set to sail in September as well. This is the biggest flotilla initiative ever in history. 44 different countries set sail, setting sail to Gaza to try to break the illegal siege. If you haven't been paying attention, I advise you to follow the global flotilla page from Samud. They are setting sail once again in September, 44 different countries. I will be supporting that flotilla mission as well from behind the scenes. And yeah, I already said this in the future. Look for me to try to join another future flotilla to go back to Gaza. I'm willing to do that as well, put my body on the line again. Hopefully, we don't have to. This humanitarian uh, crisis that we're witnessing, this is a war crime. International Court of Justice law already ruled that, and hopefully, we can hold Israel accountable. I'm trying to do what I can with the lawsuit that I plan on filing, and I hope that people just stay tuned, get involved. We all have roles to play, and most importantly, just keep Palestine and keep every country, whether it's Congo, Sudan, Syria, Libya, Lebanese, you name it. Keep them all in the focus right now. Keep all eyes on all oppression, and as it being Black August, free all of our political prisoners.
Could you say the website one more time?
Which one? U.S.
The
Labor
Labour
Party.
Party.
Yeah,
Yeah.
U.S. Labor Party .com. And you can follow them. You can find it on the link is on my bio on my Instagram, the easiest way. You go on my Instagram, the link is right there in my bio.
Okay. I was just posting it in the comments because some folks in the chat were asking for it.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you. And thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. You know, this has been a great conversation, and yeah, it's been a long time overdue, and I absolutely will be back.
Yo, well, you got a seat here, so
I
appreciate you.
chatted with you today.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much.
All right, peace, bro.
All right, y'all. Peace.
All right. So we're about to wrap. Anything y'all got going on for this weekend that y'all want to share with the audience? We know Black Men Bill is always in them streets doing some stuff. So what y'all got going on?
Yeah, thanks for shouting us out. I'm going to a reimagining safety documentary. Renee put us on. It's happening in Miami today.
Oh, by the white guy. I can't remember his name right now. Matt.
You done
Not
froze.
Lord froze.
You froze them. See, you know, you cut people off.
All right, I'm back. I'm here.
Yeah, now you're back. Yeah, now
Cool.
you're back.
Quick plugs. Reimagining locally. If you're in Miami or Broward, reimagining safety documentary. We have an armed self-defense training. Check out Black Men Build Miami for more. We've been reading Revolutionary Suicide next week, Wednesday at 8. That is our final session on the epilogue and part 6. And on August 28th, we have a mass call with Two Black of Black Liberation Media, the defense of the P2 campaign, Kinetic of the Alabama Solution. We're going to talk about his work, and then Jamal Joseph of the BLA. So tap in for that. August 28th is going to be virtual. Black Men Build nationally, and then Black Men Build Miami for local events.
Yeah, I was in the documentary. It's by the white guy Matt, right? I was making sure we're talking about the same documentary.
That white guy Matt. So there's a couple things going on, mostly internally. We have a general body meeting coming up, but there's some other things that we got going on. So there's tenant struggle that's kind of grappling or going up here. A lot of wild shit. But also, if you haven't seen yet, you should definitely check out the new look of grassroots thinking. There's this piece that's kind of on, I don't want to say kind of, really on the purview of Black August, where Detricia is talking to a bunch of, a few ex-political prisoners, and there's a series that's up on the website now, so check it out at grassrootsthinking.com. And that's all we got. What about you?
Sorry, shout out MXGM, Malcolm X Grassroots Movement, every Friday at 7 p.m. By Any Means Necessary is their YouTube channel. If you type in BAM, MXGM, you'll see their programming. They've had great ones every Friday at 7 p.m. and we've been a part of that too. Sorry, go ahead.
Amber?
You're fine, Lork. I don't have anything going on. I gotta facilitate a conference tomorrow for my job, so that's about it.
That's it.
Nothing really cool happening here.
Your Black August Google Doc is in the comments of last remix, and so if people want to check that out, Amber's a lot of good resources for study during Black August.
Thank you. We do have class tonight. We're talking about Prison Abolition 101, and we watched the Orishami Burden video that Lord sent us. That they already have watched the video, actually, some of them, and they really liked it. They were like, this was really helpful, like explaining what abolition is. So we're gonna have a guest speaker to talk about that today. I don't have no plans outside of that. I dropped like 3 niggas off the roster. They pissed me off. You know, I find that I am sporadic, and if somebody doesn't do something in the time that I want it done, like 2 of them didn't answer the phone yesterday, and I called twice. I feel like twice is a lot. That's a lot for me. I was like, no, I'm good. So I don't have any other plans this weekend other than working and then coming home to my dog.
You know, he would step across the line. Habitually. He's a habitual line stepper.
Who's the habitual line stepper, Geechee?
Oh, my bad. I didn't even know I hit that button. My bad.
You're so funny.
Hey, listen, man. Y'all, thanks for tuning in. We gonna catch y'all at the same time, same place next week. Be in the comments talking shit about Amber. She gonna come back at you.
I will come back at you. But someone did say I need a channel for my dating life. I actually don't think I do because I feel like there isn't enough.
No, you do. You do.
I feel like there isn't enough to talk about. I could probably talk about it, for like maybe 15 minutes, but it's not that much happening. It just seems like a lot because it's a short span of time on here.
This is such an extended fade out. Peace, y'all.
Staggering, the gathering, possessed by a pattern that be scattering. Over the global, my vocals be traveling, unraveling, my abdomen is slime, is babbling, grammatics that are masculine. I grab them in, verbally badgering broads, I wish them Madeline was back on video LP. I would against all odds, I got it, even Steven. Proceeded reading, I believe in everything I'm reading, but my brain was bleak, needing beat and exercise. I didn't seek the best of odds, just a lot of text and lies I analyze. Where I rest my eyes and test eyes, the best of guys with punchlines. I'm nasty when it's crunch time, but your mind like one time in poetry was pussy, I be sunshine. Cause I deliver like the sunshine. Come find it once lines, I dumb rhymes, I combine. I'm hype like I'm unsigned, my diet I unswine. Eating beef sometimes.